All right, guys, welcome in. This is Train and Trade. Make sure you follow along dtitrader.com/telegram. Stay with us with dtitrader.com/YouTube. Hello to all our YouTube guests. We are going to be talking about markets today. You heard in the intro music, for those of you who are not on the recording, let the story unfold. It's in the lyrics. It's what we're going to be doing with this market to a large extent. There is a very high degree of risk involved in trading. Make sure that you're making proper decisions because the decisions you make are yours and yours alone. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. And looking at some of the news, the stories that are unfolding right here. Iran is still the biggest event. It is the geopolitical headliner, and we're heading into a weekend where the markets are not going to be able to react until Sunday night. So keep that in mind. Next week, we've got CPI on Wednesday. We've got PCE and GDP on Friday. And some of the big levels, this is more of a recap, happened this morning. We dropped down to 67.15.75, new low of the year, below the low of the first 3 days of March, which was 67.18.75. Important note here, traded below, not open below. We'll get to that in a minute. Employment situation reports, this was the bad news. Negative 92,000 on the jobs. We're up to 4.4% on the unemployment rate. Participation rate, Tom,
Oh,
dropped from 62.5 to 62.0. That
good.
was kind of a big ticker on that. So we've had some news that has impacted the market, made a new low of the year. Market's trying to recover a little bit, maybe build a buffer heading into the weekend. And that brings you right back to the big geopolitical issue. And if you've been paying attention, Tom's been talking about USO doing great job in there. Crude oil and crude oil stocks. Crude this morning, crude futures open at 79.08, made it up to 89.62, currently trading at 88. So we've had some big movement on that front. And basically, guys, we've got a market that is doing a lot right now. And that's not always what you want to see. We want to see a market kind of settling down a little bit, and that might be uh, something to look for in the future. Right now, we have the market we have. Now, let's get into the my opinion part. Tom's going to be joining us in just a minute here. What I'm looking at with this market, number one, I'm looking forward to the review of what was covered earlier this week because I think sometimes when the market gets to this state, you want to get back to some fundamentals, and reviews are a great way to get there. But basically, we've got a lot going on, Tom, and your opinion of the market, what are you looking at? And I need you to turn that mic on, sir.
Hey, this morning we had a nice session, and I don't know if anybody attended, but I told them it wasn't set up right now. However, if the QQQ got above 603.55, you could buy it. And if you look at it, it was at 605, and so it's about 2.5 points. And if you multiply 2.5 points times the delta 30 option we were looking at, I want everybody to do the math. Where should it be if you multiply 2.5 points times that? I want you to learn that. That's very, very good. I'm using a delta 30. That'd be 60, 75 cents higher, right? So we were about 420, 430. So you got in at 430 and it goes up there. Y'all see what I was trying to show you? I mean, because that was a lot of work I went through to show it to you. And, you got to say, if you took that trade, hats off to you. But that's something I'm looking for just about every day. I call it a quick hit. And you can make a lot of money if you can day trade. It's a day trade. Uh, Now, it's interesting. Jonathan we were talking, and I talked to a student. He said, Tom, how do you find these winners? And I said, well, I follow the discipline of the 3-day algo and the 24-hour market. And you think about it, we were long USO today, and who made that USO trade? Let me ask that question. We had another pocket put to hit that we'll put back on this afternoon, pocket put. And, we're finding Palantir hit and NVIDIA, I think, hit, okay? Anyway, just some really good stuff. But you notice what I'm doing, even in this kind of market, I'm laying out money for you if you want to take it, okay? And, I think that if you'll learn what I'm teaching you, you'll make a lot more. That's what most of my students that tell me really emphasize it, okay? So let me give you a couple numbers for you, okay? Google today is bullish above 298 for Google. Yeah, 299. Amazon's bullish above 216, right there. Apple is bullish above 260. These are just day numbers, okay? NVIDIA is bullish above 181.29. MU's bullish above 385. FI's bullish above 675. I already gave you the QQQ, 602. I said 603.55 would be a good spot. Here's one for you. SLV is bullish today above 76. It's 76.42. These are some setups I'm looking at, and I think when people learn my approach, they understand I got a lot to pick from. The SQQQ, I don't have it, but the TQQ, Carol, is bullish above 48 and a quarter. TQQ. Check it out. Yeah, a little to the positive side right here, Carol. Anyway, that's my opinion. You probably got something else on. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, Tom, we can hear you. Let's see.
I'd sign out and sign back in. It's 5 by 5.
Yeah, if you're getting an echo, check and make sure you're not signed in twice. We've got a great presentation for everybody today, Train and Trade. Let's go through and look at this. Reminder, all Train and Trade trades are tracked through T-Buzz Talk and Trade. Go to dtitrader.com/TNT. That is a clickable link in the slides. Let me see if I can get that link for the slides to you guys. Hang on just one second.
And a lot of people, Chuck, the reason they need that link, they print it off, and that way they can see it a lot better. Smart on their part. I'd have to do that too.
Yeah, not only that, Tom, but if you have the slides, you can actually go through and follow along and click on the links as they appear. So we'll get those to everybody. And let's
And you take notes on it too. A lot of people take notes and file it away.
definitely. So other resources we've got, Tom's first book, Winning the Day Trading Game, and a clickable link there to listen into that if you're looking for something to do over the weekend. That's a pretty good weekend skill set right there. Just go ahead and give it a listen if you haven't already. And even if you have before, sometimes reviewing the information is a good way to go. Speaking about reviewing, DTI white paper booklets, which you can access through the link. We've got detailed information on all aspects of trading. Go and check out the list of white papers available to DTI students. Always the YouTube channel, Tom. Great way to go and look and review information and get up to date on what's going on. Important terms to know if some of the words that are being used are a little bit too professional. We've got a dictionary there for you to sort of learn some of these things that we're saying. The penalty tape, getting grounded again. What are we looking for? Just find that basic principle. I think it's definitely worth going and taking a listen to that. And of course, the options playbook for those of you who like to trade options in today's market. And we got a special here interview from BNN. Tom was there back in 2000. 2008. This was going into the financial crisis, and you can get a sense of how traders view rough times in the market. Quite frankly, Tom, I thought when I was watching that interview and when I've rewatched it, you seem very optimistic, and that a lot of times for investors and for people who have kind of a secondary relationship to the market, it's something they don't understand. Market turmoil offers opportunity if you know how to control risk, and that's what trading is all about: is managing that risk.
Yeah, and just to give you anybody, I was had Apple puts that I was long 10 of them, made 30 something thousand on it. That's pretty wild, wasn't it? On one 10,
Definitely.
I still remember that trade. Uh,
So So we're going to review the lessons we've covered this week in Trade and Trade with our slides here, Tom. So let's see if we can get right into it. On Monday, March 2nd, you were looking at defense sector stocks, which is important given the geopolitical situation going on, setting up the FTD algo, getting ready for that. Review of the Seven Sisters, talking about where support could exist in the S&P. You've already focused on crude and USO. Of course, we saw that play out. Gold and silver
but just
long-term
stop. Let me
places.
stop you. Let's go
Yeah.
look and see where USO was on Monday. Let's do that just to see how valuable that advice was. You know, I'm not going to reach out there and make these trades for you, but if you learn what I'm giving you, you can go out there and see it yourself. This is valuable information. Most people would pay a fortune just to know that. Okay, but let's just see where USO was on Monday, and just see how valuable that was. That was Monday, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let's go through and look at a swing chart. And yeah, that's uh that's pretty far down there. So on Monday we opened at 87.62
Now think about
and
that. On Monday at Train and Trade, a 11 o'clock meeting, I gave you a key to the kingdom right there. $87. It's up $19, $18. So I think this ought to be a marketing thing that we ought to send out to people, let them know just how valuable these briefings are. So you ought to ask questions, but clearly it's right there for everybody to see. USO right there, crude and USO.
right. And let's see. Also, what else did you want to look at here, Tom?
No,
Gold
that
and
was the main
silver?
thing. I saw it and I said, boy, that was great advice. And then I remember doing it on Monday. It was so far away 4 days ago. Most people give their eye tooth, as they say in the South, that have that kind of information.
Yeah, and
USO.
we have the slides from Monday available. For those of you who'd like to grab them, you can click on that link. And Tom, one of the big things you talked about was protecting stock portfolio with married puts. A lot of people really kind of on edge because their investment portfolios, not performing the way they want. And you really talked about how you can handle that, as you put it, buying insurance.
Right. Married puts, I've always loved that concept because it lets you sleep at night. A lot of people hold stock more, I talk about trading. It's real and now, but I hold stocks too. And sometimes, you gotta prepare for an onslaught of your decrease in equity. In a way you can offset that if you want to hold something, then you buy a married put, and sleep a lot better with a married put.
Right, and we've got an update, the link for the recording also available for Monday. So got that all up and ready for you guys. So anybody who wants to go back and look at that. There was a question in the chat room earlier about how do you protect your portfolio. This is a good session to go and watch, particularly the married puts, but also, you know, talking about what sectors you should be looking at, talking about the way the Seven Sisters are moving, that broader market concept. and getting into crude, getting into gold and silver. And basically, there's a lot there on Monday because we had a lot to respond to. Now, let's go to our next day here, Tom, which was Tuesday. And this is taking profits on those married puts, or on the pocket puts, excuse me. Uh, Re-reference the BNN interview, important. Circle the wagons, remaining the theme. Basically, you do have a market in turmoil. What do you do about it? This is one of the things we were discussing. Crude oil was breaking above 75 at the time, market in a sell signal. By the way, Tom, I don't know if you've been watching, but crude oil made a pretty big move today. So they're well above 75 at this point. The VX above 22, fear is rampant. And another
That's
Seven
at
Sisters review.
24.71. So we got to go home with pocket puts.
Yeah, so we still have a volatile market in front of us. And then, of course, the big picture. And your opinion was the market was going to be higher by the end of the year. Does that still remain the case?
Absolutely remains the case. And all we got to do is you're going to see this is I'll put this out there. I think that in the next 20 days or so, you're going to see the market will see the eventual greatness of the decision to do what the U.S. government and Israel did. And I think in 30 days from now, you'll start seeing the market start marking itself back up, because it's going to create, not only is it going to create a lot of opportunity, I think you've got a real good chance to break some records this year with this sell-off. Meaning,
yeah, so there's definitely a lot happening with the market. A lot of, I suppose we're still expecting a great deal of change. You mentioned carrying over the pocket puts, the insurance over the weekend.
Yeah, the way I do it, folks, is like, I'll put one on. If I can get a profit in 5 or 6 days, I usually take it. First one, we took a 40% profit. The second one, we took a 20% profit. Before the market closes today, probably after RB2, I would say, I'll put my new pocket puts on. And we'll maybe take a time to tell you which ones we're going to target today. Okay.
And Tom, in terms of these pocket puts, now all this is going to be in the Tuesday review. They can view it on the slides, view it on the recording.
Yeah, we keep up with those, folks. If you really want to be part of it, the follow through and information about it, in TNT, my 24-hour reach out and touch you, $200 a month. They'll put the link in there. You ought to join. I mean, it's really a powerful way to stay in tune. That's $200 a month, so you'll make that money back in about a day, according to people that are in there.
Right. We'll see. Let's see. We had that link up earlier. Let me just go back in the slides right here. Here's all trades in Train and Trade, or track through T-Buzz Talk and Trade. There is a link to T-Buzz, or to dtitrader.com/TNT. And let me just real quick jump out of the main screen here. I'm going to just copy that link straight away off of the slides and post it into the chat room for everybody. And we'll get back to our slideshow here. And one of the things, Tom, about those pocket puts, that's insurance. If you make money on it, great, but that's insurance, right? That's a seminal factor that I think people sometimes miss.
Well, another factor they miss, if you make 40 and 25, you're at 65, pretty soon they'll be paying us to have insurance.
And there you go. That's the way to do it.
Most insurance companies won't do that, and pretty good.
All right. So let's go to Wednesday, where we were tracking the S&P futures movement overnight with the reference bars. Important to note, keep track of those reference bars. We've got one that'll be forming up in just a few minutes here, the Genesis bar. It's one of the reasons we come on at this time frame to set that up. Insight of the day, track stocks from their 8 p.m. Eastern open at night. Not everybody realizes that the cash market stocks are available to trade starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. but that is the case, and so we'll get a good look at that. If you're Tom, they come on Sunday night, right? Or is it just Monday through Thursday? But those stocks will be open for trading before
Sunday
we get
night
to
at
the
8.
opening bell.
Sunday night at 8.
There you go. Right. So it's important to know that. And that insight, very important, very big. You can get into the stock market before we have the European cash markets open to start next week. Also, Tom, worth noting because we have the time in there, 8 p.m. Eastern, we do spring forward in time over the weekend. So just kind of an insight there. Everything will happen about an hour earlier than what you think it will. So make sure you get your clock set and ready to go for daylight time starting up this weekend. FTD stocks, that's the first 3 days. Reviewing that information, I'm sure Jonathan's going to come on a bit and take a look at that for us at some point today. So we'll get to that again. But we got most of that information was getting wrapped up when we were doing the Wednesday shows. So you can click on the slides, go to the recording. The link to that FTD spreadsheet is in the slides for most days. Definitely was there on Wednesday. And crude, greater than 75 bearish for the market, below 69 signals tensions are easing. It's well above 75, so we're still in that high tense geopolitical situation heading into the weekend. And of course, we've already covered the strategies on how to handle it. Any other points you'd like to make for Wednesday, Tom?
No, pretty clear. We've been right on target. I think we'll keep trying to stay right on target and healthy.
All right, there we go. So let's go through and look at what we talked about yesterday on Thursday, setting up OCO orders. Now, this was how to use the platforms: order, cancels order, TOS and Tasty Trade. That's Thinkorswim and Tasty Trade platforms. So Jonathan did a great review of that, throwing up the screens, letting you know where to look, calculating stops on options based on the underlying stock move. Tom, you talk a lot about your deltas. That comes into play a little bit there. 3-month covered call technique. You want to touch on that one a little bit?
Well, we got a whole slide. I gave an overview yesterday about today's presentation, so we're really going to get into some details today.
There you go. Synthetic covered calls with options. All of that available in the slides, and you can click on the recording to watch at your leisure. So Friday, March 6th, topic is covered calls. Let's see what we've got on these slides. What are covered calls? So, Tom, would you like me to keep going, or do you want to hit the bullets?
Oh, keep going, Chuck. You're doing good.
All right.
John can pipe in when we get into the details.
So, for most people, covered calls are the first option strategy you learn, and there's reason for that. Now, covered calls are used to generate additional income on stock that you own. That's an important part. The call is not covered unless you own the stock. So, covered calls is you're playing with calls on stocks that you already own. Covered call can be sold for every 100 shares long. The covered call caps your upside, but will lower your cost if able to keep all the premium, and then you go and sell another. So basically, you've got a stock that you own. You can sell those covered calls or collect the premium on that, and if everything's working out the way it's supposed to, as that stock moves down, you're making a little bit of money there. If the stock moves up, you're making money in the stock. You can always close out the covered call and still be able to hang on to the position. So essentially, it's kind of insurance and income generation at the same time with covered calls, isn't it? All right, let's see. What do we got up next? Long-term covered call strategy, and this is Tom's strategy. Plan to hold a good stock for at least a year. Use 3-month expiration cycle. So basically, you're looking 3 months ahead. Go up 10% from the current price to sell the covered call. That would be a 40% a year if successful. So you're making 10% times 4, that's 40%. Nice little way to add on there. More details. Long-term strategy, buy back the short call once it decreases to 10% or less of what you sold it for. If you sold it for $5, buy it back at 50 cents or less. What to do if the covered call goes in the money? You can always roll the option out in time another 3 months. Short-term covered call strategy. Use synthetic covered calls with options. You're looking to buy the 50 to 7 delta options out to the next year. Sell 5 to 15 day calls against the position over and over again. Looking for dollar amounts or looking more for dollar amounts than percentage amounts. Prefer $1 or more premium on the call that you're selling. So again, this is all about collecting that premium. More details for the short-term strategy. Tom will look to buy back the short call once it decreases to 10% or less of what he sold it for. If you sold the short call for $1, you're looking to buy it back at about 10 cents or less. And if the stock moves enough by expiration for the short call to be at a loss, you roll it out in time. You use those expirations to your advantage and push them out. Now, the Weekend Profits Club is our event that we've got going on, Tom. We're heading into the weekend, so the Weekends Profit Club really does matter here. Limited time on the best pricing. Don't delay. DTItrader.com/WPC.
All right, let's break away. It's Genesis time. Let's go look at a live market, live roadmap. Let me give you my analysis here at 11:30. Y'all want to do that? Then we'll come back. The reason I selected the Weekend Profits Club, I was not going to put out a trade today, but the odds are so strong in this program that we'll make money. I'll extend my expiration date a little bit, but I'm going to do it today. Be the trade I do before the close. Weekend Profits Club. I mean, the odds are just phenomenal, so I got to do it. But forced to do it because of the odds. All right, so this is the, let's start out with the Genesis feature, and let's plug a few things into the Genesis feature. Put the 7 sisters in there and a few stocks I give you. Just make a brand new one. I find this feature inside the roadmap is really helpful to dissect the market anytime during the day or night you're looking at it. So he'll put the 7 sisters in there. Then he'll add, after he puts the 7 sisters, he'll put TLT. Then he'll add Apple, MU, NVIDIA, CVX, USO. And this is a great feature. I got a computer over here, real estate wise. I got it up and I just look over here and glance at it. But what am I glancing at? Let me tell you what I'm glancing at. Okay. Now, I gave you a number, I think on the E-mini, didn't I? I said if it got above, my pivot number was what, 68 or 68.55. But I gave you another number this morning on the E-mini, and it was, let me look at it real quick, right number. I want to show you how I do this. Okay. So, yeah, yeah, it's still at 68.50. Never mind. Anyway, I was going to show you, but when it's above the pivot number, then above this breakout number I use, then I usually go long. And but E-mini right now, if you see that, does everybody see that high HH column right there? Everybody see that? Give me a yes if you see that. Well, if I had a positive Genesis and I'm above that number, right? Then if I'm above that number, then I'm probably going to maybe scalp the mini. Works that way for the NASDAQ and the Dow. Now go back to the main feature of Genesis where you were before. Long, short, or out.
Yeah, we're at the main feature. I just moved the LSO column over to the left so everybody can see it.
I can't see it. Oh, there it is. Oh, now I see it. Okay. Well, if you notice gold and silver, if you look at gold and you look at silver, gold had a breakout this morning at 51.30. It went up. But if you take that number, let's just take silver. Silver's got a HH of what, Jonathan? What is the HH? What's the high? 83.97?
Yeah.
All right, go over to a roadmap chart. I want to show people something. So we can do it SLV too if you want to. If you want to put that in there. Let's do it for SLV. That probably applies to more people here. Do it SLV. Okay, listen up, Paulie. I'm explaining. Okay. All right, so silver off of Genesis had, what is this high number, Jonathan, coming into the Genesis? What was it? HA. Draw a line there for SLV. Blocked because you got the chart from it, but I can't see it. I'll look up on the computer.
75.90.
Well, 75.90. So let's draw a line there at 75.90.
And of course, that was before this reference bar began.
All right. Is that the line right there at 75.90? Or I can't see. Same color got on.
Right here.
Right there? Okay.
That was the highest reference bar high before Genesis began trading.
Right. So Genesis is higher than it. Everybody agree? Everybody agree? So if I look over there at the high above Genesis right now, what's that high bar that went above up there? What number is that? I'm going to show them how to make the money.
76.7 is the high.
Say it again, John. I'll push you out.
76.97 is the high of the day.
76.97. So I'm higher if I go higher than 76.97. Let's just call it 77. If I go to 77, Genesis is positive, then I could do a 3-wide option spread on SLV. It's okay. Does everybody understand? If it's higher than the high reference bar after Genesis, and I went higher there because I don't have the outcome of Genesis yet, but I went to the highest I've been. And if I take that out, and it's high, that'll be higher in Genesis. We're bullish this afternoon. Does everybody see that? Yeah, about 21 days. Exactly. All right, go back to our Genesis. Let's pick another one. All right, let's look at add QQQ in there. We can mess with QQQ all day. Let's add that one in. And the high is what? What's the high reference bar?
It's like 609.07.
609.07?
Yeah.
Okay. Throw the QQQ in there. All right, the first clue is RB3 is bullish. Everybody see RB3 is bullish. Okay. Now here's where a midpoint of that high and low come in handy. John, go, what was the low of the QQQ?
Looks like 598.54 made on RB3.
Okay, so 598 and 609, correct? That's 11 points. Let's call it 5. let's just call it 605. 605 is a good number. 605 to 604. Okay. So if Genesis ends up being higher above 605, your target would be that high reference bar of 609. How much could you make on a Delta 30 option if you bought a call option? Do the math. How much could you make if it went up from 605 to 609 this afternoon? And so if you went and found a Delta 30 and add 4 times that, it'd be $1.20. That wouldn't be a bad trade, would it? This is a powerful feature inside of Roadmap. Now, let's get to RB2 today. Let's say we go to RB2. We're going to hypothetically say we go to RB2. And you're going to say, okay, what's a premium capture for Monday? Well, Jonathan, circle the option or the tickers on this sheet that have options expiring Monday. Don't do the futures. I'm talking about TLT has options. Does Apple have options?
Not for Monday. No. TLT, USO, SLV, and let's see, does QQQ offer 3 times a week now?
No, QQQ has options every day.
It sure do. So the ETFs are well off for that.
Yeah. Add GLD in here also. All right, what's the low of GLD today? 466?
You were mentioning RB2 or something like that, Tom. Do you want to move on from that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a parameter. No, I was talking about RB4. Okay, so here's a trade I will do. I can go to the option trade, go to the option trade for me, or options. I said option trade. Go to option table.
And are you referring to GLD now?
Yeah, GLD. I want to show you how I would do something. Okay, Jonathan, find me an option on Monday from 465 to 64 on GLD.
March the 9th.
So put
5. A 1 wide, bring in 21 cents, maybe.
Yeah. So I might consider that option after RB4. Well, what would throw me over the edge to do it, you think? What do you think? Gold futures going higher this afternoon and GLD would follow. I'd consider doing that option. Everybody see how I did that? The high and low reference bar sort of gives me a framework for capturing premium at the end of the day, which is when I like to capture premium in most cases. I think that's pretty helpful for everybody to see that. Do y'all like what I just covered? Does everybody get it? This is another feature inside the roadmap that really will make you a fortune if you learn how to do it. And Jonathan, probably wouldn't be a bad idea for training next week. You go back through this in the roadmap training. When do you do roadmap training?
Most weeks on Tuesdays and Thursday from 4 to 4:30.
Okay. Maybe that's the subject line for Tuesday, because that's after trade day. That might be a good time to do it.
I'll repeat it real quick. Identify a stock you want to be long on Friday. Find the lowest reference bar low of the day for that trade day. And then go out to Monday's expiration and sell a put spread below the lowest reference bar low. So on GLD, 466.40 was the lowest reference bar low today, or at least so far. And if we finish up in the top third, I imagine Tom would be comfortable selling that put spread. So we went to Monday. Expiration on GLD, which was March 9th. And below that 466.40 or 467.40, which it was one of those two, 465 to 464. Selling the put spread. currently marked around 20 cents.
Neil says, does this tactic work with high, VIX, and war? Well, it's a better tactic, being straight with everybody, it's a better tactic to use when you don't have a conflict going on, but it doesn't hurt me to educate people about some possibilities. We'll do a lot of trades. The one thing I would ask if I was you, is Tom really 80% accurate on everything that comes out of his mouth? Well, the answer is absolutely. All you got to do is follow me long enough, and I'm going to hit about 80%. That means I lose about 1 every 5 trades. Okay? And yeah, this is an end of the day trade, Rob, in the afternoon that I do. But anyway, I'm just trying to give you some flexibility here to understand, but you got to know something going in, what your accuracy rate is. Chuck's been tracking me. Chuck, how long you been tracking me? 15, 20 years?
You know what? Let's go with that count because I feel younger when you say that.
Yeah, well, anyway, Chuck came to me after tracking me all those years, back when we had Green Circle Company. He goes, your accuracy rate is pretty close to 80%. And I said, well, maybe I'll just say I'm right 4 out of 5 times. I said, go with that. And I said, and he said, do I have to keep track? I said, no, you don't have to keep tracking. Anyway, that was after thousands and thousands of trades. Chuck tracked me all those years. So yeah, 4 out of 5 times. I think that is something that I'm very proud of, is the accuracy rate, because the higher accuracy rate, it fits my personality, it's less risk. I hate, let me tell you about, you always hear me talk about good trades. Here's a bad trade I made, okay? Now I'll talk about gold before we go to the weekend trade. So last night I was short crude future. It actually went down. I made some money, okay, on crude future. I got to thinking, if Scott Bessent gets involved, like Phil Flynn said he was, crude's going to fall off the map. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy a put on crude oil. So I went out and found me a put, okay? Now it was $4.75 on this put. Everybody know how much money that is in crude oil? Big contract, $4.75. How much money is that total I put out? $4,750. Went to bed last night, and you always tell you the Grim Reaper strikes when you go to sleep. I went to bed last night, okay? No, that's one contract. Had one contract. I went to bed, and I fully intended either to spread it this morning, or I fully intended to buy more if crude had been down. If John, bring the ETR line up there. Can you show what crude did when it surged? Or just show a chart, I guess, you can do that. I look at the ETR line, okay? Long, shorter out, Ann. Now I want you to see something. Open it up. You have crude in there? Look at crude.
Got a white there.
Yeah, look at crude. About 3:30 in the morning, everybody see that 81, everybody see that 81.37? Now I'm sound asleep. I woke up this morning and crude, I woke up about 5, so crude's at 83.78. My option that I had bought had dropped in value from $4,750 to $2,500. That's a $2,200 hit in that option. So what did I do? What did I do? You think I held it? Do you think I spreaded it? What do you think I did? I started out today down $2,250 I got out of it as soon as I woke up and saw what was happening. Now, why did I get out of it? Because crude at that time of the morning was breaking north. So then what did I do? I went and bought shares of USO, and I bought crude futures. Look at crude futures. Everybody see that? Where's crude futures, John? About 84.
What?
5:30, 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah,
84, 85, something like that.
Yes.
So I had a $2,250 loss that I just took and got out. I went and bought crude and USO before the market opened this morning. And by the time the market opened, that over $2,000 loss, I didn't care about it anymore because I was making it back, doing the right thing, going long. Got out of it, said the heck with it. Probably cost me $800 or $900 because I was just happy as a peach. I didn't have to look at the $2,000 loss anymore. And I thought, I did what the market told me to do. Not what I thought, but what the market told me to do this early this morning. And that is how you handle things. The Grim Reaper comes and takes your money. Now, since that time, this morning, I have made a lot of money because I've been on the right side of the market. And that's the key. All right, here's a question. I'm underwater for silver futures, trying to analyze silver heading up. This is just a pocket or going down because USD is going. You got May silver. I can tell you this where you're wrong on SIK. If you look at SIK, what's the low of the day on the SIK?
81.78.
As long as you don't see 81.78, you can hang with your dream because right now it looks like it's trying to go higher. You got enough time there with that silver future, you know. That's just a thought. Anyway, I wanted to share that story with you because the point of the story was not look at me, look at me. The point of the story is this happens to all traders, and it comes to a key time. You get a loss because the market changed on you. Don't hang with it. It's like making an error, you know. Morris Nvidia is going higher. Goes above 85.55, I'll get aggressive. All right, let's go back to the slides. I hope this helped everybody, this session. I thought it was a good session. Are you glad you came? That's the question. Give me a yes if you're glad you showed up today. John gave me a big yes. All right, folks. The weekend side hustle. It's a marquee trade, okay? And the marquee trade is a trade that I put at the top level trades that I do. The weekend side hustle trade. The track record, like I said, is great, okay? And I will do a trade in it today. It'll come out between 3 and 4. I'll get with Jonathan. We'll figure out what our next move is. But it's a simple trade. We'll spend about $1 on it, right, John? That's usually what we spend.
Yeah, that's the strategy that you switched to several months back and tended to work.
9 months ago. Yep. All right. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. And I hope everybody's going to join. So let's listen to the tape. Get involved. This should be one of your core programs that you do every week. Thanks, Don. That's awful nice of you to say that. And Jonathan, why don't you share the recording from this morning with everybody here? Just let them have it. The one that we did this morning where they can watch it.
I need to render that recording now that you've mentioned that.
I didn't hear what you said.
I need to get that recording rendered now that you mention it. Let me cue up this video on Weekend Side Hustle. And enjoyed the week, Tom. I'll see you at 1:30.
Live trading. Thanks, Kevin. That's awful. Look what Kevin said. Isn't that nice? We did put a lot of work into it.